over. What's going on, guys? And we're back with the Davis Sports Feud, and I got my buddy Corey Sparks here.
Crossed up, definitely pushed by Paul George, but everything's a push these days.
I just don't think this offense is going to work very well, especially under a defensive coach like Robert.
But I would still probably take like Najee Harris over one of the wide receivers.
What is going on, guys? It's Sunday kickoff day. How we doing, Corey?
We're doing all right. I'm waiting for my team to play at noon, so we got to even up our record today. How about yourself?
Doing good. Your Bears better get that together. Justin Fields better start running, or Matt Nagy better start running an actual playbook that's meant for Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Right. So we're not alone. If you did check my socials, we are not alone. We have a special guest. He has been on here before. He is I'll let him tell you. This is Matt Faraci, guys. How we doing, Matt?
Great. How you guys doing? Excited to be here.
Awesome. It's good to have you back. Sorry, I didn't pick your movie draft.
No, it's all good. It's understandable. It's all good. I had Talladega Nights. That was a great underrated movie, but
very, very.
It's okay.
All right, you want to let the people what you do? Let the people know what you do, because I can talk this morning.
Yeah, so I'm a video content creator for Major League Baseball. So I create videos for MLB social channels, player channels, really whatever like assets that we need. And then I shoot a lot of games. So I'll be covering the NLDS in Milwaukee next week, actually. So I'll be up towards you guys and stuff. So which will be pretty exciting. And then down to Atlanta, and then the whole postseason, basically. So
quick question for you. What about that? What do you think about that AL wildcard race?
Oh man, it's exciting. I love it. I love the chaos. I'm awful. So the way it's going to work out for a four-way tie, because I want a four-way tie. Yankees, Red Sox both got to lose today. Mariners and Blue Jays got to win today, and then we can get two game 163s tomorrow, and then the wild card game. So it would be phenomenal. Madness. I would love it. It'd be great for baseball overall. That chaos. That's just probably the best part of baseball is when stuff like this happens. So.
I just think it's insane that you had a team like the Yankees that looked like they were dead in the water halfway through the season and ended up clawing and fighting their way all the way back up into this wild card race. So it'll be really entertaining to watch. I know we're going to start doing baseball episodes more frequently throughout the baseball playoffs. I know Corey wants to be a part of that, and the other guys. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that to all of our socials. There were some technical difficulties, but be sure to check that out and tune in, because we'll let you know when we're going to keep dropping those baseball episodes. But this is a pregame show. You guys want to get into football?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. So the first matchup we have is Washington at Atlanta. I think this is one of those games that Washington finally gets their defense back on track. The line is currently set for Washington at 1.5, and the over/under is 47.5. I'll start with Matt. How do you think this game's going to shake out?
I definitely think Washington's going to win. I think Atlanta is just. They're on paper they could be a really good team with Calvin Ridley and Davis and all that. On paper they're a solid team, but they just can't do anything, I feel this year. So I feel like Washington's going to win. I think it's not going to be a very high scoring game though.
No, especially because the offense of Atlanta, like you said, is supposed to be a little high flying, but T-Bone made a good point a couple weeks ago. These are all players that are in new positions. Like Calvin Ridley is now the number one guy instead of Julio being there. Kyle Pitts is a rookie. You have somebody who's never been a starting running back in Mike Davis. You have somebody who's more of a journeyman at Cordell Patterson, who's basically flying around different positions of the field. And the only person who's been there for a long time is Matt Ryan. So it'll be interesting to see if they can finally get things going. They got their first win against New York last week, but I honestly can't see a way for Atlanta to win this game. I think that defense is going to get back on track. They were a top 5 defense in the league last year, and now they're coming. They are going up against, there's my great internet. They are going up against one of the best defenses, or one of the worst offenses in the league. So we'll see what happens. But Corey, how do you see this shaking out?
Yeah, I see Washington. I think the 1.5, it's 1.5 point favorites for them, right? I think that's way too low. I think I'm not going to call it a blowout, but I see it being a 2 or 3 possession game. I see that Washington offense coming alive. I believe Antonio Gibson's in for today. He was questionable a bit ago, but he should be in. I see McLaurin doing well. Thomas, I see Heineke having a career day against this secondary that's been depleted for the last 4 or 5 years. But I see them, they're not going to coast to it, but I see it being a comfortable win for Washington for sure.
Okay, so it sounds like we're all on Washington. Do either of you see any fantasy standouts in this game, either Washington or Atlanta?
I feel like Corey said, I feel like Gibson could possibly or McLaurin, because just how bad the secondary for Atlanta's been, or for Atlanta's been. Like, I feel like McLaurin probably has the best shot of it, and then Gibson would be second. So I just think the defense at Atlanta is just so terrible that I don't know. It's not going to be that great. So it's going to be a very good game for our Washington's offense, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it's weird because oh yeah, 100%. I don't really see anybody that's playable on Atlanta unless you have Cordell Patterson, possibly, because he's just been a Swiss Army knife catching out of the backfield. He's running routes out at wide receiver. He's just a jack of all trades. He's basically like that Randall Cobb spotter, like what Percy Harvin used to do back in the days. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think he's the only playable player on this squad. So all three of us agree Washington.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to the next one. Oh, gosh, this might be a bloodbath. The Houston Texans go on the road to face the Buffalo Bills. The line is set at 17.5 for Buffalo with an over-under of 47. I mean, I don't know how much we really have to talk about this game, but Josh Allen's starting to get back on track, trying to look in MVP form. It's going to be really tough to win MVP for Josh because there's so many great performances out there with Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady still doing it. I'm going to go right to fantasy right away. If you have anybody on the Bills, start them right now. Like, if you picked up Emmanuel Sanders, this is one of those weeks that you have to put him in, because that Houston team, although they're better than we thought they were, I still think that 17.5 point spread is going to be met. I see this being 21 point win, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So for me, actually, I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout. I think Buffalo wins, but with the way that they played the past few weeks, like beating Green Bay first week, obviously that was like a very one-off kind of game. Then they played well against the Cowboys, ended up winning that, and then they played decent against the Bucs. So I don't see it being like a crazy blowout.
I think you missed.
Oh, I might be. Oh no, yeah,
Houston and Buffalo. Houston and Buffalo.
Oh, I have their schedule from last year for some reason when I was looking.
No, you're good. No worries.
Right.
No, I think you're right. Then, actually, looking at the actual schedule, they got blown out by Carolina. Yeah, so you're right. I agree with you about 21 point spread. Then change my answer completely opposite, but that's all good.
Corey.
Yep. So I've got the Bills winning this comfortably. I think Josh Allen really hit his stride last week. He's going to keep going. And in terms of fantasy targets, I'd watch out for, and he's not too popular, Devin Singletary. Anytime you have a potential for a blowout and you have garbage time, you're going to have a running back getting an influx of reps, right? So the last quarter and a half, I could see Singletary running the ball 20, 25 times today.
Looks like I'm going to my fantasy lineup real quick.
Yeah, I know you. I said that for a reason, too. I mean, just think about garbage
time
in general. I think he's going to get a lot of reps today.
Yeah, I have him sitting on my bench because he's been worrying me the last couple of weeks. But I believe it's still Davis Mills starting for the Texans. So you have a very young quarterback who everybody makes the joke that he looks like Mike Glennon 2.0 with how long that neck is. But I don't see anybody being playable on the Texans team, on the Texans side. Like, if you have the Bills defense, you're going to get 20 points, in my opinion. I do think they cover. I think it's going to be, like I said, about a 21 point, 3 touchdown win. I don't see a need to keep talking about this other than Josh Allen's going to start cruising. I think he's going to have one of his biggest games of his career. I think he's going to throw for 400 yards before he gets taken out in the fourth quarter to see what Mitchell Trubisky can keep doing.
I love Mitch. Let's go. Money Mitch.
Corey, you want to take the reins on this next one? It is your team.
For sure. I have actually been going back and forth. I think this is one of 2 toss-up games I have, the other one being the Colts and the Dolphins. But I don't know. Cooks could do well. I could actually see that. Again, garbage time, if you're down a lot, obviously you're going to throw the ball. I could see Cooks getting some garbage time plays, and I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy right now. So if you have Cooks, I mean, it depends on the rest of your lineup, but that's actually a really good point. So with my Bears, I want to say they're going to win, but I think Dan Campbell's been actually coaching really well despite their record. Yes, Baltimore is battered, but they're still a very respectable team. and they outplayed Baltimore. It came down to an NFL record 66-yard field goal as time expired by none other than Justin Tucker, who did it twice in a row because he actually hit a 61-yarder on them last year in a game where he scored all their points. You just can't buy a win in Detroit, I guess. But the only way I see, and the reason I think I actually am leaning towards Chicago is because it's going to be raining there today if the forecast stands. I think we're going to feed Montgomery, and I think you have to. The run defense over in Detroit isn't ideal, and I think we're really going to set up the play action by giving Montgomery the ball 20, 25, maybe even 30 times. I think he's going to have a lot of success. It's going to have to be ugly because that's how the Bears win games, but I think we can pull it off.
Matt?
I don't think I see a chance for the Bears to win. Just how poor they've been playing. I think that it's going to be a closer game. Like on paper, I think it'll be like a 21-17 game. But I just see just with how poor the offense has been for the Bears, I don't see them completely switching to being like an offense that's going to score 3-4 touchdowns today that can overcome like all this like crap that they've been through the past few weeks. I think that they're going to improve because like this is kind of like a chopping block moment for Matt Nagy and like his play calling and all of that. So like he probably won't lose his job because of this game, but it's like taking a step towards that like future of him losing his job. So I think that he will turn it around a little bit, but I don't think you can completely change from as bad as they were last week to like being like this great offense this week. And granted, the Lions don't have a great defense, so it could be like better, but I just don't think it'll be like enough to win the game, you know?
That's fair. T-Bone's chiming in all day today, it looks like. Justin Fields makes Jets players look like an all-star team, and Fields is trash.
That play calling is not his fault, man. You got to give him another chance today. He wasn't able to get out of the pocket.
No, they ran an Andy Dalton offense when you have Justin Fields who can get out on the edge. You need to do a lot of sprint outs, a lot of play action, try and get him on the edge. Because if you just sit him and make him a pocket passer, that is not what Justin Fields is.
That's not his game.
Not his game at all.
Not at all.
So if he changes up his playbook, because, I mean, when did they find out last week that Andy Dalton was going to be out? Right away, right? Or did they just announce it like Thursday or something? That Thursday.
It was relatively recent. I know for this week you're referring to.
That was as late as like last night.
I was going to say that was really for last week. He had a full week of notice, so that kind of concerns me. That now I don't know what was going on in practice, but I'm assuming until yesterday, Fields and Dalton were splitting first team reps, which is not good. So
not great for Justin. That's for sure.
Damn. T-Bone is still sticking with his Nagy's got to go. I think a lot of people agree with you. It's time for Nagy to go. Yep. It's time. I said he was the first head coach fired this year. I think if they lose to the Lions this week and it's more of like a 2-touchdown loss, I think he's out the door. He's out the door.
Yeah, if we get battered by Detroit today, it's over.
So I have been neglecting our fan picks. Our fan this week is going to be Ryan Sapina. He's been on the show before. He has the Lions winning this game, and he has them winning by a touchdown. Now, I think this is going to be a very interesting game because I personally think the Lions are the best 0-3 team in the league because all of their games have been kind of close. Granted, this 49ers game, it was out of hand early, but they kept with it. They fought back. I think that is a good building thing. Jared Goff is a serviceable quarterback. He's more of a game manager. So, I mean, but you still have weapons. Quintez Cephas is continuing to develop. You still have a good running back in DeAndre Swift. You have arguably one of the best offensive linemen in Penei Sewell. He is a generational talent. I just
amazing.
Oh, phenomenal. But there's a lot of no names on that defense, so it'll be interesting. I think Chicago can get going in this game. So some people will see that like it might be a low scoring game. I personally think that Jared Goff's going to go off a little bit, and I think Justin Fields will actually throw for over 250 yards. And if he gets a rushing attack going, he can get like 50 to 60 yards in rushing yards too, and turn into what should be a really good fantasy player this year. But I personally see the Lions winning by like a touchdown. Fair. So, I mean, it'll be a good matchup, though. Not as interesting as a Lions-Bears game can go this year, at least.
Right.
Fair point.
Moving right along to my team. My team is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have had a rough year when that one win. What was it against? Who'd they win? Was my internet again? So they beat the Falcons very handily in week 1, competed with San Francisco, who looks like they're for real, but then they got absolutely battered and forgot how to run the ball. And I don't think it's going to be pretty for this Eagles-Chiefs game because I think Patrick Mahomes is going to get back on track after having not a tough game, but a more competitive game with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. The Eagles just don't look good, and I think the play calling is the biggest problem. I think Sirianni will be the only rookie head coach fired this year, personally. Normally, I have put pushback from Wonky because all he ever says is that the Eagles are fine. They'll be fine. Just ride the wave. Sirianni might be the answer. Sirianni ran the ball 3 designed runs 3 times. Yes, there were a lot of RPOs, but a designed run 3 times. 9% of their play calling was runs. If you do that against the Chiefs, the Cowboys are a good offense. The Chiefs are a better offense. Yeah. I see this game getting out of hand. I hate to say it. The Eagles are going to lose probably by 3 touchdowns, and I think it's going to be over early, and you're going to see some backups in the fourth quarter for the Chiefs. Matt, you want to take a crack at this one?
I'd have to agree with you. I don't think that this game is even close. I don't really even think that there's much to talk about, to be honest, because I think it'll be after last week, the performance the Chiefs put on. I think that they're going to come back with kind of a vengeance this week. So,
wait, what? T-Bone thinks Atlanta's going to beat the Washington football team. At least that's what it appears as.
I think so too.
Oh, I don't see that happening.
I think it's what he's saying. Is what I mean. Yeah. I don't think they're going to win.
I don't think it's going to happen. But...
yeah, my bad.
Corey, what you thinking for this game? Do we think it's going to be as a bloodbath as we think it's going to be?
I don't want to disrespect your Eagles. I'm being completely unbiased here. I just think it's going to be ugly, though. I think, look, the Chiefs are 1-2. I cannot personally recall the last time that team was 1-2. It's probably back to the Jamal Charles days, and even then they were good, consistently 10-6, 11-5, right? Mm-hmm. They're last in their division right now. They just lost to a divisional opponent. They actually need this, for the sake of winning the division. You don't want to get in wild card games with other teams that could be getting hot at the right time. So, yeah, Patrick Mahomes could have a career day today just because the Eagles defense is still developing. I think the only way you guys keep it close is if you do run the ball and you literally just take time of possession away from them. Make sure Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands as little time as possible. If you can split it 50-50, that's ideal and it stays respectable. Otherwise, like you said, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Chad Henne come in the fourth quarter. I mean, it could get ugly. But, yeah, that's my take on that.
I think we're going to see Gardner Minshew on the other side, too.
Yeah, right.
That'd be hilarious.
I'd love to see it.
Minshew mania. All of a sudden, he's starting the next week.
Yeah, right.
That'd be crazy. I love Jalen Hurts though, so I wouldn't personally like that. But yeah, I love Minshew at the same time, so it's tough.
So obviously, fantasy wise, you start Patrick Mahomes, you start Travis Kelce, anybody on the Chiefs. But on the Eagles, I would, if you have Jalen Hurts and you don't have really a serviceable backup, I would still start Jalen Hurts. He's still going to put up numbers, those garbage time numbers. They have solid receivers. I wouldn't call them great receivers or even good receivers. They're solid receivers. But I would definitely give Jalen Hurts a look. Eagles defense, I don't know why you would have them anyway, but throw them in the trash because they're not getting you points. Moving right along, we're going to my rival now. It is Panthers visiting the Cowboys. We're going to really see what the Panthers are this week. I think they are a legit team. I want to see Sam Darnold continue to succeed, as much as I don't know how Matt's going to feel about me saying that, but Sam Darnold got out of a bad situation, unfortunately, with the Jets organization. But
he did. Very bad situation.
The only thing is especially, I'm going to start with fantasy again. If nobody picked up Chuba Hubbard, I have no idea why they didn't pick him up. Go pick him up right now. The run defense of the Cowboys is not that great, although Micah Parsons has seemed like the greatest draft pick for the Cowboys in the last 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. I think, personally, the Panthers do have an opportunity to win this game. The Cowboys offense is so good, but I think the Panthers defense is really starting to develop enough that they can hold them not to 14 or 17. They're still going to score 21, but I think the Panthers have enough weapons on both sides of the ball to really get this going. And I think Carolina wins this game by a field goal.
Okay. What a pick. I think that I definitely think that the Cowboys offense is really good. I think the Cowboys end up taking this win. I do think that the Panthers are a real team. I love Sam Darnold. I think when I was on the show the last time, you guys asked me what my opinion was about it, and I said that I like Zach Wilson, But I see so much potential with Sam Darnold. Granted, his age, being younger than Joe Burrow, and like just developing like the way he has. Like I think that he's a solid quarterback. I just think the situation in New York, like you said, was just not great for him. I think Gase is worst coach of basically all time in the NFL. So I think they're a very good team, but I think the Cowboys win. I think it's close. But I think just like every other Cowboys game this year, they've all been pretty close. I feel like maybe not last week, but yeah, they've all been pretty close. I think it'll end up being a close game, but I think the Cowboys end up pulling it off. So,
Corey.
Yeah, so I'll have to agree with that. I would have called it a closer game than I think it's going to be, except J.C. Horn went out of the game last week, and I don't believe he's going to be in this game either. So when you have,
he's out.
Yeah, he's out. So you have a depleted secondary, right? And then you're going up against Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Blake Jarwin, Dalton Schultz, Michael Gallup, like all of these weapons. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I do think, yes, we're going to find out what Carolina is made of, but Carolina isn't made of as much without CMC. Chuba Hubbard's going to be fine. But even against Houston, they kind of started to coast to the win. Houston's like a bottom 5 team right now, just barring their circumstances. I don't see it being a blowout, but I do see I see Dallas handling them just because without CMC, the whole playbook changed. Granted, now they do have a whole week to plan around Chuba, so maybe we'll see something different. But I don't see it going very well.
That's fair. If you have any of the Cowboys offense, also, I mean, splitting the Zeke and Tony Pollard splitting the backfield worries me if you used an early pick on Zeke. So my opinion for Zeke is I would trade him high because he is coming off of a good week, but I think the backfield is going to continue to be that split backfield. So if you use an early round pick on him and you can see that he's doing well, I don't see that continuing. I see those numbers dropping off a little bit just because instead of boosting Zeke up, they want to win games. So I think they're starting to get the right mentality down there in Dallas. So if you have Zeke, I would see if you can trade his value high, see if you can get a decent pick back. But our fan pick from Ryan is going to be the Cowboys in this game. He's got him winning by a touchdown. Moving right along, this is a really interesting game because these are two teams that I don't really know what their identity is right now because one's missing their starting quarterback and one has been so injury riddled that we don't know who's going to be on the field any given week. That is the Indianapolis Colts traveling to Miami to face the Dolphins. The line is set at 2.5 with an over-under of 42.5. I think the under is going to hit because I don't think you're going to see a lot of scoring in this game. You have a Colts offense that has looked anemic at times. You never know what quarterback's going to be going on the field, whether it's Carson Wentz, Jacob Eason, or what is it, Ellinger? Sam Ellinger, I believe.
Yeah, Sam Ellinger.
Yeah. And then you have Jacoby Brissett, who is a good quarterback. I wouldn't call him a bad quarterback. I wouldn't call him a great quarterback. He's serviceable with plenty of weapons on the outside when it comes to Devontae Parker. Jalen Waddle's a rocket. And this one's really tough for me to pick. I personally can see it going either way, but I think the Dolphins defense is going to suffocate that offense of the Colts, and I think you're going to see at least one defensive touchdown in this game. I'm going to take Miami by a field goal in a very low scoring game. So whoever wants to take the reins, go ahead.
So yeah, I'll take it. So I think Miami is going to end up pulling this one off. I think that their secondary is solid. I think that they're just overall I think they're like a very solid team. Just the whole quarterback situation for them has been tough. I think Jacoby Brissett is solid. He's serviceable, like you said, and I think that the receiver is really just. I think they're going to have a decent day. Honestly, I don't think the Colts, just like the way they've looked, has just not been promising. Like it just has not felt like they've come together. They don't feel like a good team right now to me. They just feel like an okay team. They don't feel bad, but like I just don't think that. Like they're great, So I think the Dolphins win. I think it's a low scoring game. I think it hits the under for sure. But I think the Dolphins win. What was the line again?
The line was 2.5 to Miami.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins win by like 7 at most. Like I think it'll just be pretty close. So I don't see it going like a huge scoring game out of those two teams. So.
I want all of these games for the Colts to be close because I want Carson Wentz to keep starting so the Eagles can get that first pick. That's the bias coming in. The thing with the Colts is they should be a good team.
It should be
100%.
They had a top 5 defense in the league last year. They had weapons. Granted, they lost T.Y. Hilton, but he's also on the wrong side of 30 now. It's so disappointing, especially having a Badger back there with Jonathan Taylor. Like, there goes my internet again. I just don't understand what is going on with the Colts, and maybe it's just the Carson Wentz effect. And I know that sounds like a bitter Eagles fan, but Carson, he holds on to the ball too long, and it's just a fact now. Like, we have so much tape to watch that he holds the ball too long. I'm gonna stick with the Dolphins winning by a field goal. Corey, what you got?
Yeah, so this is literally a toss-up for me. I do weekly picks for my podcast, and I actually had the Colts going into Thursday because I got to pick it early. I got to pick the entire slate before the week starts. But the more and more I watch tape on them, it's just not looking good for them. They can't get rhythm going. And the problem with any team that has Carson Wentz is, one, lack of pocket presence. And two, you have to plan around him, but you have no clue when he's going to get hurt. He could get hurt on a Friday night. Oh, cool. You have 48 hours or less to plan around whoever his backup's going to be. And they have that revolving door going on right now between Ellinger and who was going in the other day? And Easton. Okay.
Easton came in and immediately threw an interception.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So my point exactly. Right. And I honestly, I didn't want to say they were Super Bowl contenders last year, but I thought the Colts were going to go second or third round of the playoffs just because of that defense. And they were looking okay behind Phillip Rivers. Jonathan Taylor was breaking out after Marlon Mack went out. So long story short, I do have Miami. I have them winning by 3. I think it's going to be an ugly game just because they're injury riddled. Brissett's going to game manage his way through the entire game pretty much, but that Indianapolis Colts offense cannot get a rhythm going. So I don't think they're going to have much. They're not going to have the ball much. You're going to see a lot of 3-and-outs. They're not going to get into field goal range. So it's going to be one of the ugliest games of the week. But I think that Miami's going to end up going 2-2, and they're going to try and get back on track.
This is actually a big thing that I did not know. T-Bone chimed in and said, Quentin Nelson is out. Stop disrespecting the O-line. Which I believe both T-Bone and Matt both played O-line. So
yeah, we did. So, but yeah, Quentin Nelson, he's the GOAT. He's probably, in my opinion, last year, he's probably one of the best players in the NFL, like top 5. So you could make a case for an offensive lineman being an MVP because of him, basically. Like, he's the only one like who could have. But this year, obviously, with the injuries and everything, a little different. But yeah.
Yeah, and the way that he kept Phillip Rivers upright basically all season. Like, he still took sacks, but he took, I think, a career low in sacks when he went to Indy because of how good that offensive line is. Now you don't know what you're getting with that, and you have a little bit more mobile quarterback, but Carson Wentz is not the Carson Wentz who came into the league where he could get it out of the pocket. The man's like 6'5", and he can outrun some DBs, and it was insane. Now he's turning into looking like Big Ben out there running. So
and he just looks kind of scared too. Like, yeah. I feel like he's just hesitant on like how he's playing right now.
Yeah. And it's also, I just want to know one last thing. It's the most impressive thing I've ever seen is spraining both ankles in one game. Like, how
does that happen?
Glass limbs. I don't understand. You guys did a good job in just getting rid of him, moving on. Hurts is good for the future. I wouldn't be shocked if we see Carson Wentz retire in 2 to 3 years. He can't stay on the field.
No, I feel like the Colts are destined to be kind of screwed at quarterback ever since Andrew Luck retired, unless he wants to come back.
That's true.
That'd be pretty
true. 3-year hiatus.
So moving on to the next game, I actually think this is going to be a closer game. And so does the Vegas odds makers. It is the Cleveland Browns traveling to Minnesota to face the Vikings. Now, the Browns are coming off and just absolutely laying the wood to the Chicago Bears and holding Justin Fields to what? 1 passing yard?
Yeah, after sacks are taken into account.
Insane.
I think it was 1.
1 passing yard.
I
don't think the Cleveland defense is that elite that they can continue to put up numbers like that. Because what was it? 9 sacks? Was it 9?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do that because I think Minnesota's offensive line is a lot better than Chicago's. Although Dalvin Cook is out, Madison is still a great idea to keep rolling with in fantasy football if you have him in your lineup. Cleveland, OBJ looks like he can be back. I think it's honestly going to be a good thing for OBJ to start getting more reps and get back into it, and I think he's going to have a good fantasy day. I'm actually going to zig when everybody zags. I'm picking the upset, which I don't know if it is an upset, but I have Minnesota defeating Cleveland because I just think the aerial attack of Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and that tight end, I think it's Conklin. I think that offense is going to just outscore Cleveland today. I think it's going to be a win by 4 for Minnesota. Oh, Cook is in, I suppose.
Oh, he
So
was a
that's
game time decision, I think. So that does change a lot.
Okay, so maybe that was just announced because I haven't really been checking the news. Johnson, oh, that one doesn't matter because there I go.
Yeah, for me, I'm gonna go Vikings too as well. I think especially if Dalvin Cook does play, I think that their offense is very solid. I don't know much about their defense, to be honest with you, but I don't think that the Browns can repeat that kind of performance this week. I mean, obviously they're going against rookie quarterback, the trash play calling from Matt Nagy, all of that, like all that takes into account. So I don't think they don't perform nearly as well this week, but I do think it's going to be. I could see this being the game of the week, to be honest with you. So I think the Vikings win by a last-second field goal. That's what I'm going to go with. It's just complete guess, but that's kind of roll here. So.
Cisco, who the hell is? Am I missing something here?
He was a Bear about 10 years ago.
Wasn't he? Wasn't
I'm
he
pretty sure he
left
meant
end?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Jared Allen played for the Vikings and the Bears, I think. He was a defensive end.
Yeah. Those are some impressive numbers at quarterback if we're talking about Jared Allen. Because, oh, goodness. So, yeah, the line is actually at 1 right now, and they're just barely favoring the Browns, which I think it's supposed to be a close game. I mean, you have Mike Zimmer, who will hopefully call plays better than Matt Nagy. I think we can rely on that. But I think they're going to run Kirk out of shotgun a lot. Obviously, he's not very mobile. They're going to protect him 3-step, 5-step drops, get the ball out of his hands quickly. And with Delvin in, you can do that. You can do a lot of slip screens. You can call out the blitzes and make them pay if they're going to try and bull rush Kirk. I still have the Browns pulling it out because I honestly think that the only way the Vikings can win games is if they get in shootouts. I don't think you can force a shootout against a defense as deep as this Browns defense. You know, they still have an extremely good secondary. A lot of people look at their line and think that's it, but beyond their front 7, they're very talented. So I actually have the Browns by 3. I think Odell's going to have another nice day. I think Baker's going to continue to do well. And that Minnesota run defense is one of the worst in the league right now. So if you have Nick Chubb, put him in. I have Nick Chubb in this week. I think Nick Chubb is going to be the main reason that they pull it out, but it's going to be close. I do have the Browns this week, though.
Okay, that's fair. And going to our fan pick with Ryan, Ryan also has the Browns winning by a touchdown. He thinks it's not going to be as close because it was weird to watch the Vikings for the first 3 games this year. They looked like they didn't know what the hell they were doing, but Kirk Cousins still hasn't thrown an interception, I don't believe. 8
touchdowns, no picks.
Justin Jefferson's looking like the real deal, not just a flash in the pan rookie. Adam Thielen, even though I think he's approaching 30. He might actually be 30, but like he's putting still up a touchdown every week for the last 16 weeks or something, which is insanity. But I mean, fantasy wise, I would still start both Vikings receivers. If you have Kirk Cousins, why not still start him? If it's working, push it until it stops working. He's throwing touchdowns without picks. He's putting up numbers. I would start damn near anybody on the Browns. Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield, and Odell. So, I mean, you have a lot of starts. I don't really have any sits for this game, though. So, anything else on the Browns, Vikings?
Well, I have a question for you guys and get your opinion. So, I have Saquon, Chuba Hubbard, and Madison right now. I guess Madison, since Dalvin Cook's he's starting this week now, I guess he's out of the picture. So out of this week, they're playing Chuba Hubbard is playing the 30th ranked defense, I guess. And then Saquon's 27th. So what would you like toughest, I guess? Like it would be like between those two, Saquon or Chuba Hubbard, do you think this week?
Well, in my opinion, Saquon, you can start him, but the problem is he's not putting up Saquon numbers. He's not putting up the numbers that warrant a first round pick. Chuba Hubbard, I think, is going to since he has a full week of first reps with the team now, I think they're going to install a good game plan for him, and he's going to look a lot like Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, he's not Christian McCaffrey, so don't get it twisted. He's not going to put up 25, 30 points, but I think you'll get a little bit more points out of Chuba Hubbard than you will out of Saquon Barkley this week.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I think Chuba's going to get more just off of sheer volume, too. Saquon, the Giants are treating Saquon like the Panthers should have treated CMC. Coming off an injury, you limit his reps and slowly increase his volume. The only way Saquon would outscore Chuba Hubbard this week is if he scored a touchdown. He's got 39 rush attempts through 3 weeks, so he's averaging 13 a week. Nothing great. I would like to think Carolina is going to use Chuba Hubbard more than 13 times today. So I would go with Chuba just off of they're going to give him more volume.
Right.
Chuba's also got younger legs, and he's only been in the league for 4 weeks. So I think they're going to really see what they got out of Chuba Hubbard, because I think he's going to be something special on the Panthers. But that's just my opinion. Saquon could still go off, but I think it's more likely that Chuba Hubbard goes off.
Yep, agreed.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Moving on to the next. Also, anybody who is watching, if you have any fantasy questions, start them, sit them. Who needs to start over this person? Let me know. I want to think.
Oh God,
that's hilarious. We were talking about that on Tuesday because he asked the question, should I trade Gronk for X amount of player? And all of us were like, no, just keep Gronk. Gets hurt.
Yeah, the ribs, right? He got a helmet to the ribs last week.
Yep, he's out indefinitely this week. He is possibly out for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Pain.
And now here we have T-Bone trolling us.
If you want to lose,
honestly though, if we want to talk about that game, we could. I could start talking about it. So
go for it.
Okay. So the Jets defense, honestly, that they got scored was 26-0. I was at the game, Broncos game last week. Very tough game, but honestly though, I think the Jets defense is not horrible. I think that their offense is played so bad that their defense is on the field for 90% of the game, so it kills them. I think if the offense can play okay, not even good, just okay, and keep the defense off a little bit longer, I think that they could be a viable defense in the next coming weeks. I don't think this week you should start them, that's for sure, especially against Derrick Henry. But I definitely think the Titans, they run the score up. I think it'll be like a 28, and I'm hoping Zach Wilson can throw a touchdown to 7 game. So I think it'll be pretty much a blowout. But I just hope that there's some kind of progress from last week, because what I saw, there was nothing. There was like nothing there from anybody, which is very disappointing because I had a lot of high hopes for their offense, especially this year.
Mm-hmm. Do either of you happen to have this game up on your screen right now? I have a question for you guys.
Yes, I have it.
Okay, don't look at it.
Okay.
Out of these two teams, who do you think is the leading receiver off of these two teams, the Jets and the Titans?
Corey Davis.
You would be wrong. It is, Matt.
I don't even know. I can't even think right now. So
Braxton
Berrios. Yeah.
Yep.
It hit me right then, right when you were about to say it.
Yep. Yeah. I was looking at that. I was like, with all of these names, Corey Davis, Jamison Crowder, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, the number one guy is Braxton Berrios. I just thought that was an interesting thing. Interesting stat. We got a question here. Start the Bears defense or the 49ers defense? Who do the 49ers get this week? Seattle, and the Bears are facing the Lions. Ooh, that's actually a tough question. Ooh,
I would go Bears only, and this is obviously very biased over here. I'm going to try not to be. I think we're going to allow a decent amount of points. I do think Jared Goff will shred us. Like, they're going to nickel and dime their way down the field. I don't think they're going to challenge us deep much. Maybe to Quintez Cephas, he's kind of their deep target. Mm-hmm. I would take the Bears off the sheer amount of sacks, because we actually sacked Baker Mayfield. I think it was 4.5 or 5 times last week, which fantasy wise, that kind of cancels out the fact we gave up 26 points. I think we can get a turnover too. So I would go with that. Seattle's really tough. You got Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. One or maybe both will go off this week. They're short. I forget who they just lost in their secondary, but their secondary is starting to get battered. I would go Bears just off the sheer amount of production in the backfield. I think Khalil Mack's going to get at least one today. Robert Quinn's been really doing well. Yeah, I would go Bears.
I agree. The sacks alone, like the past 2 weeks, they've had 5 sacks each week. So, like, I think that'll definitely help. And I just think that the Seahawks, they're just such a good offense. So I think that they can really just take off, especially if they can get DK rolling back to like what he was and stuff. So,
all right. So keep the questions coming for fantasy, guys. We'll answer any and all questions that come across my screen. Moving on to the next game. It is the other New York team traveling down to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The line's set at 7. I don't know why, because I bet the odds makers were at arms this week, because the Saints, you don't know what you're going to get out of the Saints now. You could have a miraculous 5-touchdown, what the hell was it? 165-yard
weirdest stat line I've seen to the date.
100%. Or are you going to get Jameis throwing 3 picks and not look like he's capable of throwing the football again? I don't know what to make of them, but I know what to make of the New York Giants. They are not good. They just are not good. And now that we're talking about Saquon Barkley, now you were talking about Saquon earlier, I'm going to double down on starting Chuba Hubbard now, because the defense of the Saints is the only thing I know is really good on that Saints team. That they're going to hold them down. I don't think Saquon's going to do that well. I think 42 is quite a high number, so I think the under is going to hit in this, because I don't think either team is going to be very capable of putting up points. I continue to hate Daniel Jones because he's so infuriating to watch, because you have so many weapons with Kenny Galladay, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. Granted, Ingram's been in and out of the lineup, but I know I'm missing another name. But you go down to like their 4th or 5th, you still have like John Ross. You still have players that can play in the league, but like Daniel Jones is just not the answer. He's one of those guys that gets scared in the pocket and takes off right away instead of trying to poison himself and stepping up into the pocket. So I personally have the Saints winning this game. I don't have them winning by the line. I would say probably 6. I don't think they cover.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever wants to take a crack at this game, good luck.
I think the Saints win. I think it's an ugly game from Jameis Winston. I think like he's like one of those guys who has a good week and then a terrible week, like it just depends on all like his mindset and how he comes into a game, how he's prepared everything. And he's just such an up and down guy. I think the Saints win. I'd probably say by 6.
Okay. Well, Corey.
Yeah, I think the Saints are going to take it as well. See, I was looking at that stat line because I actually watched that Packers game week 1. The reason that happened is because Sean Payton, with the exception of one pass when they were up by like 21 already, did not let Jameis go down the field. He said, we're going to let you dink and dunk. I understand you have interception problems. And then once we're in the red zone, I'll let you shoot for it. And that, as a result, he didn't have any picks. I think they're going to get a little more aggressive, and I think Jameis will pay for it. He may throw a pick to Bradbury this week, but it's going to be ugly. It's going to be another ugly game. I think Kamara will do fine. Yeah, the reason I think it'll actually be somewhat close, though, is because the Saints are not used to going up against mobile quarterbacks. They're in the same division as Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, and Sam Darnold right now. But in the past, I mean, they went up against, what was it, Teddy Bridgewater for 2 games, or if PJ Tucker was in, that's who it was. So just not really mobile guys, not guys who are going to actually run with design read options. So I could see Daniel Jones throwing them off a bit and getting like 70, 80 rushing yards, but it's not going to be enough. I think Sean Payton's going to be able to outcoach that team in general. So I would say, I'll copy Kyle. I would say them by 6. I'm going to take them by 6.
So we're going to switch gears for a second. That is the full noon slate. We finished all of the 12 o'clock games. T-Bone does have a, well, it's a question and a statement at the same time. Why are the Brewers going to get swept in the NLDS, not the NDLS? Thank you, T-Bone. This weekend, I believe a certain special guest will watch firsthand. And my question to you is, how far do you, both of you, how far do you think the Brewers can go in these playoffs this year? Either one of you can start.
They can go very
I guess
far.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you can
go. I think that their pitching is like actually insane. Like just the sheer volume of pitchers that they have, from their relievers to their starters. Like I think that they're just an insanely talented team. And if Yelich and Colton Wong and like all those guys, Lorenzo Cain, like I think that if they can turn it up in the postseason, I think that they'll be a very special team to watch. I'm not going to give a prediction how far they could go, but I think that they could be definitely like an underdog team that could really push deep into this postseason if they put it all together. So,
Corey.
Yeah, I think it's completely circumstantial. And I was talking about this in the baseball episode a week or 2 weeks ago. Basically, I think they get through, and I think it depends on who they meet in the NLCS. If they were to meet the Dodgers, I'm sorry, it's over. But if someone can take out the Dodgers on the way up, like the Cardinals who are hot right now, if the Dodgers stay in second in their division, or the Giants, I think they can beat the Cardinals or the Giants. The Cardinals or the Giants. So I think they could actually go.
I'm trying not to interrupt you. I want to
You're
interrupt you so hard because
You're
I
good.
think this Brewers team is very talented. I think what you're seeing against the Dodgers, what you saw against the Giants, is not what I don't think they're playing the way they want to play. I think when the playoffs actually start, I think the defense is going to step up. I think the pitching is going to be immaculate. I think you have the two best pitching staffs could be in the NLCS. I hope it comes down to the Brewers and the Dodgers because that would be impressive because their teams are built very similarly. Granted, one has a much higher payroll, but I think there's players on the Brewers outside of Yelich because obviously he's getting paid. I think all of these players that don't have as big of contracts want these big contracts. Colton Wong, Locaine, Vogelbach's even been, Adames. Adames is the number one guy, I think. And you still have players like Manny Pena, who's putting up big numbers for home runs and getting on base. And Christian Yelich is obviously having a down year, but the team around him for at least batting and for defense is still really good. I still think the Brewers have a chance to make it to the World Series, but I think I'm with you guys. I think if you meet the Giants in the NLCS, I think the Brewers have a chance to make.
I think they'll mow them down. There's no experience on that team.
100%. I think they have a better chance of beating the Giants than the Dodgers. I just think that the Dodgers are just so loaded because I think they have more weapons in the pitching staff. I just think if we're talking about closers, I give the edge to the Brewers. If I'm talking about relievers, I still might give a slight, very, very slight edge to the Brewers. But starting pitching, I have to give it to the Dodgers. 100%. And then batting and defense is split. I have the defense being towards the Brewers. I have the batting to the Dodgers. I think it would be such a phenomenal series. I know we're seeing the series play out this weekend between the Dodgers and the Brewers, but this is not.
It's not the same.
The Dodgers are fighting for the one spot, and the Brewers are locked into their spot. They don't care about this. They pulled Corbin Burns after 2 innings last night. So they're just getting him some work, making sure his arm stays in playing shape, and that's all they're doing. This is not what the Brewers are going to look like. Hold on.
Does Clayton Kershaw being potentially out, does that make a difference for you about the Dodgers? Because he's going to be out probably 3 weeks, I think is what they're saying. At least 3 weeks as of right now because of his elbow.
So when would the NLCS start? That would be, so you have the playoffs and you have, are they 5-game series or 7-game series for the playoffs?
The NLDS is 5-game and then the CS is 7 games.
Okay. My knowledge of baseball is a lot less than it is about football, so I usually throw it to other people. But he would be back for the NLCS then?
It starts the 16th, so that's 2 weeks.
I don't think he will be.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think he will be.
Ooh, that would be tough. But T-Bone chimes in for two statements. Apparently, the Brewers have the worst manager left in the playoffs.
No comment from me.
Yeah, I'm going to just gloss over that one. Chris Bryant has a World Series ring on the Giants.
Valid, but no one else on that team really has playoff experience, and they're all slapped together. I feel like the Dodgers or even the Brewers, they're a more cohesive unit. They've been playing together for a while. Don't get me wrong. San Francisco had a great free agency period. Like, they went out and grabbed just about whoever they wanted to right before the trade deadline as well. But I don't know. Just as a cohesive unit, they haven't really played in the playoffs, is what I was trying to say. So that's why I'd have the Brewers over them. But
well, I appreciate the knowledge. Like I said, I'm not as well versed in baseball as I should, but we're moving on to the 3:30 window for the NFL Sunday. We're going to start with the hometown Packers. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in town, and the line is set at 6. I think that's being generous. This is not me being a homer because the Packers are not my number one team. I'll root for them, but I'm not going to go over the top with anything. Aaron Rodgers is still a bad man. The Steelers just look so bad offensively that even if TJ Watt is out there, I can't wait to start our college football show because like great defenses are amazing, but if you don't have an offense to back it up, you're just the Wisconsin
doesn't
Badgers.
matter. Yeah.
You're just the Wisconsin Badgers. And I hate to say that because I'm such a big Badger fan. The Steelers are going to get steamrolled in this game. I still don't think 44.5 is going to hit. I think most of the scoring is going to come from the Packers. And if it's the over will hit, it's going to be garbage time where the Packers let off the TJ is back. All right. So that changes it a little bit, but I still think Rodgers is going to cook today and T-Bone shut up.
1 and 3. 1 and 3. No,
1 and 3.
Jesus. I think Devontae goes for 100 yards today, honestly. but he's going to be shadowed by, what is it? Is it Hayden?
Joe Hayden's their one.
Joe Hayden. He'll be shadowed by him all day, but I don't think Hayden is as good as everybody says. T-Bone, shut the hell up. Go blue. Fuck off.
There was actually a video yesterday. They were playing jump around, and the Michigan team was going crazy on the sideline. So it was. I know it was very tough to watch if you saw that.
You guys might be on your own. Getting back to the Packers, I have the Packers winning by I want to say 10. So I think they cover the 6 spread. So Matt, you want to take the reins on this one?
Yeah, I think Packers win. I think it's easy. I don't think the Steelers' offense really improves. Like Ben Roethlisberger's elbow is just so bad. He can't make a pass past 15 yards down the field. Like there's just not a lot going right now for the Steelers. I think TJ being back, that'll definitely help them, but I don't think it'll be great. Packers by 23. I think it'll be a Packers by 10 is what I'm going to go. Okay. But yeah.
Appreciate the input, Cisco. Corey.
Yeah, that's not a stretch. I had the Packers by 17. Big Ben, you saw him last week. I honestly think he needs to retire. If you're the Steelers, your first round pick needs to be spent on a quarterback. Like, bottom line. They're turning into one of those teams in the NFL, honestly, like the Bears. You know, the Bears' defense is starting to deteriorate, where they lean so hard on their defense, despite the fact that they have Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster. They lean so hard on their defense that it's exhausting. They're out there way too long. Big Ben is not able to throw 15 or more yards down the field. He's starting to look like Drew Brees, but way less effective. His pocket presence is virtually gone. Their offensive line is not ideal. I see Big Ben getting sacked like 3 or 4 times today. I would not be shocked if it was Packers by 23. I'm going to say 17, but I'm definitely saying 3 possessions. I think Aaron Rodgers makes a mess of that secondary. Yeah, no, it's not going to be close.
No.
Now, the last 4 games, I'm going to start with the primetime game because I think we can cruise through this one pretty quick. The other 3 games are really good. So we have the big storyline of the week, but I don't think this game is going to be that close. We have Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should have been Gronk, but Gronk will travel with the team, but he's not going to be on the field. Traveling to Foxborough to face the Mac Jones, very up and down quarterback in the New England Patriots. I'm going to be real quick about this. Tampa Bay is dominating this game. 7 is being nice. I think Tampa Bay wins by at least 3 touchdowns.
The line is 7?
7.
Okay.
That's crazy.
7.
That should be the 16.5. I don't care what anyone says.
Here's the kicker. I think the over-under is really low as well because I think Tampa is not, even if they're up by like 5 touchdowns, they're not letting up. They are because Tom Brady looked at Bruce Arians today as, I don't care if we're up by 10 touchdowns. Let me throw the ball. Let me prove that I am better than Bill Belichick. The over-under set at 49.5. If you have money, want to put money on a game, smash the over on this game because Tampa's not letting their foot off the pedal.
I agree with you. I agree with everything you just said. I don't really have much more input than that. So I think Tom Brady goes crazy today.
Yeah, I think Tom Brady's got vengeance. This is going to be probably the first game or one of the first games in NFL history where a team's going to be up by 4 or 5 possessions and you're not going to see any backups put in. You are not going to see any increase of running the ball. I did see, and I don't remember his name. There was an ESPN analyst. Basically breaking down. You guys remember what Peyton Manning did in 2013, right? That's the 50 touchdown game, right? Yep. So what the Patriots actually did against that high flying offense is they brought 6 DBs in and they gave them a little cushion and they forced them to run the ball. Noshawn Marino had like 200 yards. They won. It was by like 3 points though. It is not going to be a 3-point game today, but I think the Patriots are going to try and put like 6 DBs back there. Fortunately, you have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Scotty Miller. Yes, Gronk is out, but you still have OJ Howard. Like the team is way too stacked. Yeah, that 49-point limit is going to be like blown up. I would not be shocked if Tampa Bay puts up 50 today.
And even if they make them run the ball, you still have Leonard Fournette, Rojo. They have weapons everywhere.
Giovanni Bernard is their third. Like, how much of a joke is that? Are you kidding me? Like,
the stash
they just got
himself.
Richard Sherman this week too in their secondary. Like, it's
crazy.
So okay, we all agree Buccaneers are going to crush the Patriots.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
100%.
It's an easy
Cisco
win.
is just messing with us because there's no way that happens. Mac Jones outguns Brady.
Oh, with his 3-yard passes, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, 3-yard passes. Yeah, seriously.
Jeez.
Check down Jones.
Cisco's also hitting college just to piss off T-Bone. Buckeyes beat Michigan by 23 also. I don't see that happening either, but all right. Moving on to the 3 matchups that I think are going to be the closest games of this weekend. I'm going to start with T-Bone's favorite team of the year, the Cardinals, going to LA to face the Rams.
Ooh.
This is where the Cardinals start coming back down to earth. Matthew Stafford is going to continue to feast. Matthew Stafford's still going to throw for 300 yards unless they take their foot off the pedal. Don't get me wrong. Kyler Murray has a lot of weapons too. This is going to be a shootout, except the problem is one of the teams has a really good defense. The other team has a really good front 7. So, I mean, Matthew Stafford, this team is built to throw the ball. The Rams are built to throw the ball. I think it's going to be close, but I think we're looking at a really high-scoring game. I think we could get both teams up into the 40s today.
Mm-hmm.
I see a 42, I'm going to say 42-45 Rams win, and it comes down to a kick. It comes down to a field goal.
See, I think you're giving I think that you're not giving the Rams defense enough credit there. I think the Cardinals offense is good enough to score like 28 points, but I don't see them going over that. I don't think that they're going to, and I don't think they hit the 30s. I think it'll be like a 28, 35, 38 Rams game.
Okay. I like that. I've got Corey.
I've got 37-23. I'm kind of piggybacking on Matt here, but I think that Rams defense is physically not able to allow 40 points in a game. Arizona's really good. You know, they got Christian Kirk, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, James Conner out of the backfield. Chase Edmonds has been doing really well. Kyler is one of the best two-way quarterbacks in the league right now. He's looking like Russ at the beginning of his career, but faster, which is horrifying to think about. But I think Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, like that team is way too stacked on defense, and that's what it's going to come down to. You have 2 amazing offenses, but Kyle, like you said, top to bottom, the Rams are phenomenal on defense, and Arizona's improving, but they're no match for the Rams. So I'm going to say 2-possession game, 37-23.
Okay, fair enough. I'd like to push back, but we're starting to get cramped on time.
You're
so
good.
We should have started with these games. That would have been the smart idea. Moving on to I'm gonna wait for the Seahawks 49ers. I think, and I haven't seen this in a long time. I don't think I've seen this at least in the last year. Ravens travel to Denver. The line is even. There is no sway either way. 44.5 points. I think you need to smash the under on that. I don't think the Ravens offense is good because of just one person on the field, Lamar Jackson. Denver finally gets their first test. I think Denver comes out of this game and wins by a field goal. It's not going to be Justin Tucker kicking a 66-yard field goal this week. It's going to be the Denver Broncos in Mile High kicking a field goal and winning this game by 3. Matt?
I think Broncos win by 7. So I think it'll be like a 20-27 game. I think after what I saw last week, I mean, it was the Jets, granted, but after what I saw like in person last week, I just think Teddy Bridgewater is a very underrated quarterback overall. I think he has been for years. When he was with the Jets 3 years ago, I thought he should have been the starter and he should have been the long-term guy for us, but that obviously didn't happen. So I think the Broncos win. I think the Ravens, that they're a good team, but I just don't. Mile High is just a different kind of place. Like with the fans, like how crazy of an environment it is, I think that the Broncos win it.
Okay, Corey.
All right, I'm going to have to go against the grain on this one because the record of the 3 teams that the Broncos have beat right now is a combined 0-10.
It's crazy.
The Jaguars just lost their 4th game in a heartbreaker, right? I think Lamar is going to carry them. You saw what he did against the Chiefs. I cannot see that same team losing to this Broncos team. I want to put respect on Teddy Bridgewater's game. They're going to have a good game. Melvin Gordon's been doing really well as well, representing Kenosha great. But I do think that even in the Mile High City that the Ravens are going to pull it off. Here's a hot take. Justin Tucker is going to reset his record because it is in that atmosphere, and he's going to get a 67-yarder this time.
Von Miller.
That would be insane.
It would be insane. I'm gonna poke a couple holes in your little logic there for Lamar. Yes, he's fast. He's gonna have Von Miller in his lap a lot this week. Mm-hmm. He's gonna have Bradley Chubb. Bradley.
Yeah, Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, that secondary is still nothing to scoff at. Patrick Surtain is still going to play really well. If Lamar Jackson's going to win, he's throwing for under 150 yards today. under 150 yards, which means he's getting, and I saw Le'Veon Bell got activated this week. I don't know how much he's actually going to play, but if you're going to win this game, you have to run all over the Broncos, and I don't see that happening either. I think Denver's defense will take advantage of a lot of Lamar's shortcomings with the passing game, and I'm still sticking with Denver by 3. I think it's going to be a really close game, but I got Denver by 3.
I think Von Miller, like you said, like is back to like that MVP caliber kind of player. I think that the injuries, like I think he's back from all of that. So I agree.
I keep trashing Lamar as a running back, but he is a good running back. That's why I have them. That's why I have Baltimore. It's going to be a good game.
I would have them higher if they had their starting running backs, if they had Dobbins and Edwards.
Yeah, they're down to Latavius Murray, I think. So yeah, they're down to their 3rd already. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it'll be tough. So we have finally went against each other. We don't do that very often. The last 2 games we went against each other, actually. Now moving on to the last game of the slate, and then we'll get out of here. Seattle travels down the coast to San Francisco to face the 49ers team coming off of a heartbreaking loss to Aaron Rodgers. The Seattle Seahawks are off to a little bit of a shaky start, sitting in the same spot as the Kansas City Chiefs. We did not expect 1 and 2 coming into this game. I personally think this is going to be – I'm going off the grain. I don't think this game is going to be close. I think you're going to see a couple plays from Trey Lance that, all right, cool. He's going to start opening up the playbook to Trey Lance. Am I saying he's going to start at any point this year? I don't think so anymore because Jimmy G's playing good enough. Mm-hmm. He's not playing great, but he's playing good enough. I think Trey Lance gets worked into it a lot more, but I actually have the 49ers defense starting to keep up with Seattle, do enough. Deebo Samuel is going to have a heyday this. That great internet of mine. Deebo Samuel, I think, is going to have a heyday. I think he's going to go for 2 touchdowns and 125 yards because I still don't believe in Seattle's defense. I have the 49ers winning by 10 with the line set at 2.5.
All right.
Okay.
I'm bold.
I have the Seahawks winning by 10. So I think the Seahawks offense finally like really just takes off. I think that they kind of control the game for them. They spread them out. I think that DK, like I said earlier in the podcast, I think that he comes that he just like starts taking off. I think that he starts returning to what we've seen him in previous years and stuff. So I think the Seahawks by 10.
Okay. Corey?
Yeah, the issue I have with the 49ers is just their running back depth right now. Elijah Mitchell is even questionable, so that would put it down to Trey Sermon, and then we have Jacques Patrick. I have never heard of him. So that just shows how deep they're getting in their depth chart, right? I think it's just going to be a quarterback duel, and I will take Russell Wilson over Jimmy Garoppolo every single day of the week. So I only had the Seahawks by 3. I think it's going to be a game-winning field goal, but I think the running back depth is going to bite them. And then Seattle's going to force a shootout because they've got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And then I think Chris Carson's going to have a good day as well. So I think they're just going to outscore them, obviously. But I just think they're going to just going to outduel them on the offensive end.
Okay, one last quick question. If you had to put money down, I'm not telling you to put money down, but if you had to put one game to cover the spread, I think we're all going to choose the same game. What would be your lock of the week? I'm going to start, and I think Tampa Bay covers.
7 points is a joke.
Yeah.
7 points is a joke.
Yeah,
I think
100%.
That's the easy lock.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I got to agree on that. I think Tom Brady's out with vengeance today.
Well, normally I shout out one person on a show for their socials, but I'll let you both do yours. Matt, I'll start with yours. You'll be in town for the NLDS for the Brewers. Where can they find you to see your work?
They can find me everywhere at Matt_Faraci 64. So very simple. Just keep it everything. Every platform is the same. So especially follow my TikTok. That's probably my biggest platform right now. So
I hear Corey doesn't like TikTok.
TikTok's the best.
I understand the backlash, but I'm gonna probably have to, follow through eventually and just cave into it. We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. Corey, where can they find you?
Yeah, it'll be all.sports now for my podcast on Instagram. We don't have a Facebook yet. I should probably change that. And then we've got All Sports Now Pod, all lowercase, on Twitter. And then we've got a YouTube, All Sports Now, as well. Episodes every Monday. We're doing weekly now. So, feel free to check that out as well.
All right. And then obviously you're here, so you know what my podcast is. This is the Davis Sports Feud. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube live. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Pods. According to my other podcast guys, they keep saying we're on SoundCloud. We're not on SoundCloud, guys. We're not SoundCloud rappers. But just catch us on all the socials. Everything is Davis Sports Feud. A couple of them is one word. A couple of them is all 3 words. But for the Davis Sports Feud, I'm Kyle. That's Corey. That's Matt. I hope to talk to you guys soon. Check out the episode coming out on Tuesday. Talk to you guys soon. Later, guys.
Eat that W, Philly. Put it on his head. Wesley Matthews Jr. Dodgers win! Finally! The wait is over.
What's going on, guys? And we're back with the Davis Sports Feud, and I got my buddy Corey Sparks here.
Crossed up, definitely pushed by Paul George, but everything's a push these days.
I just don't think this offense is going to work very well, especially under a defensive coach like Robert.
But I would still probably take like Najee Harris over